Hi, this is Rahman Sheikh. Welcome to Fortnightly Railway Transportation Systems Podcast. I am the host and railway systems specialist working in this industry for 24 years and counting. This podcast is primarily focused on railway experts who have vast amount of experience and contributed greatly to this amazing industry. This is not a technical seminar but focuses on feel good stories, individual journeys, their success and failures, motivating younger generation to kickstart their career in railways and creating a sense of pride for the railway people who devoted their lives on the most environment friendly public transportation. This fortnight we have a remarkable guest who is at the forefront of driving innovation and transformation in transportation industry. Sherrie Killiby, the executive director of strategy and engagement at Transport for New South Wales, is not your typical executive. She is a true polymath with a wide-ranging background and a track record of success in diverse fields. Sherrie's expertise spans digital product development, technology strategy, agile transformations, innovation, and operations management. She has lent her strategic vision and leadership to prestigious organizations such as Canon, Coca-Cola, ING Direct, and many more. With an impressive career trajectory, she has become a sought-after consultant for large and complex projects as well as agile transformations. In 2020, Sherrie was recognized as a finalist for the Telstra New South Wales Businesswoman of the Year award, testament to her outstanding contributions to the business world. What sets Sherrie apart is her 13-year journey with Transport for New South Wales, during which she progressed from senior digital producer to her current role as executive director. Her unique perspective, drawn from experiences in various departments and industries, enriches the transportation sector with a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that is invaluable in shaping the future of transportation strategies. Hi Sherrie, welcome to Railway Transportation Systems Podcast.
Hello, and thank you for having me. It's really delightful to be here.
So let's start with our first generic question. Can you tell us about your journey from a senior digital producer to becoming the executive director at Transport for New South Wales? How did you get started in the transportation industry?
Well, it's a good story, I guess. There's opportunity at transport and within the transport industry to really be able to progress your career. And I started with a job ad and I thought, wow, that sounds really interesting. And it was as a content publisher on the flagship website for transportnewsouthwales.info. And this is the website where all information about the transport network and all of our modes, train, bus, ferry, light rail, and roads information is on that website. So customers have the information that they need to be able to plan their trips and understand how to use the network. And so very humbly, I started on the content for that website. But then over the years, I guess my interest and passion in making sure that we provided good customer information and good digital customer information grew into producing a new website, moving on to product managing other products as well. I even did a stint doing some road product, live traffic type of work as well, moving into our future transport and mobility section, and then into a lead role in our digital customer channels area, which then brought me to be the Executive Director of Strategy and Engagement in our Technology and Innovation team. So lots of different roles, always within the communications and digital communication space, because I've always been passionate about making sure that provide good information to your customers or your passengers or whoever it might be that you're talking to in really easy and simple ways for people to understand. And I'm delighted that I have the opportunity to do that in a leadership capacity at Transport.
You are doing it, Sherrie. Even the way you explained me was very simple and easy and crisp. We are really glad to have you here, and it's a nice, good story. Before I move into my next question, I got a dumb question. Strategy. If I Google it, it comes out as a plan of action designed to achieve a long-term or overall aim. What actually strategy is and how you use that in transportation, please?
Firstly, I don't think that there's any dumb questions. I think questions are fantastic because it makes sure that we all have a shared understanding understanding about what it is that we need to do or work on or whatever it might be. Strategy, that's a good, fair description of what a strategy is. For me and what I think of strategy, and when I work on strategy at Transport, it's about that bigger picture. It's about making sure that we can communicate a vision that gets you to an outcome that changes what you've currently got now. And it is often longer term, but you can have short-term strategies too. But what it does is it gives you a direction and a sense of direction, a purpose to work towards. And it also provides alignment. So it means that you've agreed that this is the direction that you want to go in and this is how you're going to get there. And a strategy, as useful as it is to providing that vision and that direction and that alignment for your teams or your people, you then have to be able to work to implement that. It's no good just having a great strategy that you put on a shelf. There needs to be work to make sure that people understand how they're going to then use that strategy to implement it. And that often requires significant change management for those that are impacted or those that need to use that strategy to understand exactly how they work and what this strategy might change or enhance or do in a slightly different way, or perhaps just keep going in the same way so that they're actually aligning to that strategy and they're on that same path as everybody else.
Beautiful. This time I wouldn't forget it at all. Purpose to work. What a nice way to explain strategy. So, to my main important questions, what inspired you to work in the transportation sector, given your diverse background in various industries?
I guess when I first started at Transport, it wasn't necessarily about transport per se. People will know that I'm a big advocate for public transport now, that's for sure, over these last years and the experience I've had. But actually, it's for the public service. So I began my career in the public service. I did 7 years at what was then called Tourism New South Wales. It's now called Destination New South Wales. And I had a wonderful opportunity to start my career in lots of different areas of that government department, learning the ropes and everything from finance to ministerial engagement and liaison. And that gave me a really strong sense of community and public service about making sure that we give people the information they need to do whatever it is that they're doing. And then after that, did some stints in the private sector and some long stints in the not-for-profit sector. And I knew that I really wanted to get back into the public service because I liked the idea of being not-for-profit, but really being able to help people get about their day and almost be people to not even be aware of the products and services that they're using because they work and they do what they need to do for the customers and the people. So I'm a very big, huge advocate of Transport now. I really do enjoy working for Transport for New South Wales, and it is a really great place to work because we do impact the lives of just about everybody who lives or visits New South Wales.
Beautiful. We do, Sherrie. Helping people. I really like talking to you. You bring such a positive energy into the podcast. Transport for New South Wales is responsible, as you know, for a wide range of transportation services. Could you provide an overview of particularly your role and responsibilities as Executive Director, Strategy and Engagement?
Sure. The strategy and engagement team is within a branch called Technology and Innovation. And technology and innovation is all about making sure that we deliver customer and operational technologies to our customers, our passengers, the people who use the transport network, whether that be train, bus, ferry, light rail, or driving, or any other modes as well, like on demand or point to point, and making sure that they have the right technology tools either for customers themselves or for operations to make the network run. And so my team provides enabling services to ensure that those programs deliver. So we do things like enterprise architecture of the technology. We make sure that the right technologies are being delivered in the right ways at the right times. I also have a cybersecurity team. And of course, we assure that the products and services that we're delivering, the technology products and services we're delivering, are safe and secure. I have a product ownership team. So we do run a product-centric approach to the delivery of many of our programs to make sure that we're always putting customers at the centre of everything we do. I also have a transition and implementation team. So what that means is when you do a program, you know that things are going to change. That's the whole idea. And you need to take people and perhaps their customers or the clients along that journey. So they do things like making sure that we know where the pain points might be, what risks and issues there might be, how they might need to change the way they're currently doing something, give them training and work with them along that journey. We also have an engagement and governance team, and they do technology governance for both our branch and for the bigger organisation as well, because of course we need governance all the levels for technology to make sure that we're doing the right things at the right time. And I also work on technology strategy, of course, as well.
Wow, so many things. You have too much on your plate. The best thing I liked is the technology, because I'm an engineer. Do this Trip app and Opal card, is that where all comes into that?
Yeah, that's right. So that's one of the products that we have within technology and innovation. So we manage the Opal network and we manage the digital customer products that then customers use to navigate that network, whether that be through tapping with their contactless, their debit or credit card. So contactless, not actually needing an Opal card anymore because you get the same services and benefit, or in fact having that on your phone or your smartwatch now where you can tap and walk straight through the barriers without even turning it on. So we've got lots of little bits of technology like that to try and make it simple and easier. And then the companion apps that allow you to do trip planning, like the transportnewsouthwales.info website and Opal Travel app.
With this benefits thing, I got a question because my wife recently asked me, say suppose if I forget my Opal card and
Yes.
I use my credit card, do I get that, that at the end of the week, if you do so many trips, you get one trip off? How do I get that?
So yes, you get the exact same benefits as Opal. The Opal benefits have changed now to reduce the cost. So now you get Friday and Saturday and Sunday as 30% off as a benefit for using it. Because what we found is travel behaviour and patterns since COVID mean that most people aren't doing 10 trips a week, which was, Monday to Friday, both in and out. It's a little bit different now. So we're offering a cost discount instead on Friday rather than providing those benefits. But yes, you get the exact same benefits using your contactless card. You just need to remember to both tap on and off with the same device when you get on your service and off your service. Otherwise, it looks like you've used two different methods of tapping and they can't reconcile.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Sherrie. That was really insightful. With so many things you do, what are some of the key challenges you encountered in your role and how have you addressed them to enhance transportation strategies?
Look, there's always challenges. Transport is really large and really complex. And of course, I'm not going to pretend that, we get everything right all the time. And I'm just one small part of a very big organisation with lots of really skilled and talented people who work extremely hard to make sure that the network operates every single day. My experience is in that, often it's about collaboration. It's about really making sure that you listen and that you understand other people's point of view. It's about making sure that you open opportunity for feedback and so that it's a two-way street, no matter whether you're dealing with the person who sits next to you or is in the same team as you, or people who are in totally different areas or even external to the organisation because you're partnering with someone to get an outcome. The analytics and insights that can be gained from the data that you collect or the information that you have, or even the conversations that you have, is really what can make a significant difference. I talked briefly before about change management, and that's a really significant part as well because you understand the impacts. When you go through a proper change management process, you understand the impacts of each of the individual people so that you can make sure that you're systematically working your way through them. One of the ways that we've tried to address some of the challenges of how we work is actually through agile ways of working. That is another area that I have a team working on as well, where we actually try and help transform teams across transport to work in a different way to enable a better outcome as well. So that's one of the things that we do.
Yeah, you're doing quite a lot, Sherrie, agile ways of work. Wow, it's not just in strategy. I think these principles can be adopted in various other disciplines as well. People hearing you could take that away as a takeaway away. With your extensive experience in digital product development, how has technology played a role in transforming the transportation industry, and what innovative solutions have you implemented?
The space that I want to talk about is the significant improvements in customer information. No longer need to be in the dark about when your services will arrive or what's happening on your services. We have such great ways now of collecting data and having much better operational awareness for decision making, which we then can quickly replay back for customers. Now, is it perfect? Do we get it always right? No, because there's always room for improvement, and it's costly and complex, so we have to prioritise the work. But what we've been able to do is to really be able to shift, like I said before, to being more insight and data-led and data-driven, so that we can do the analytics that's required to have informed decision-making, which we can then provide to customers. And that's a really significant change. Over the last few years, we've really put customer at the centre of everything that we do. And, that's easy to say out loud, but what does it really mean? It means that we use processes like human-centred design, where we actually start with the person, the customer, and often we might have a whole range of different types of customers, and we walk through almost a day in the life of when they're interacting with that product and service. And we think about the things that they could stumble across, or where the risks might be, or where things might not go quite so right, and then go, well, how do we address that? What do we do? So it's really important that we go through that process, because we don't want to do, sexy technology for technology's sake. We don't want to just implement new systems or new technologies because it makes a nice story. We want to actually make sure that it's useful. And by doing that really human-centred design process, we'll know very quickly whether it is actually creating that outcome that you're looking for.
Wow, really, Sherrie, that is really inspiring and very innovative. And the values of Transport for New South Wales, customer at the center of the heart, that really catches my ears. And you know what? Recently, I have interviewed Adam Sharp from Tostown, and he exactly does the same thing, like data collection, decision making, intelligence, and working with executives like you in making informed, clever decisions. What an amazing topic. Sherrie, moving forward, could you share some success stories of specific projects that highlights the positive impact of technology and innovation on transportation services in New South Wales? It's a linked question.
Yeah, absolutely. The one that I wanted to actually talk about was some work that we did during COVID. During COVID, of course, people were really sceptical about using public transport, and many people had to use public transport because they had no other way to get to the essential services that they were still going to work for, because not everybody got to work from home, of course. So what we did was be able to produce a piece of technology that told customers how full a train was based on the weight of each of the carriages and where the people were in each carriages. So what it meant was that if you could see that the train was too full for your liking, you could wait for the next train. And you could see which carriages had more people in it or less people. So you could go to a different carriage which might have less people. And that won an international award because it really did make a difference to our passengers about making sure that they had the level of comfort, that they were going to be safe, and that they could have the distance that they needed from their other fellow passengers. Another example, and it was in the same time as well, was we really tried to uplift during that COVID period work on walking and cycling. So we have walking and cycling as modes, as we call them, for options for transport. And what we wanted to do was encourage much more walking and cycling during this period of time. So we significantly improved the information that we gave to our customers on cycle paths and recommendations of information on where you might like to ride a bike that might have been a bit easier, a bit moderate, or slightly harder, but it would get you there faster, obviously depending on how much of a bike rider you were and your level of confidence on driving on which particular roads. And these are just two examples of where there's a real customer problem and that we want to then help to try and create. And of course, there's lots more examples that I could give, including the Apple Transit one, which I talked about before, where you can tap using your phone without even turning it on to walk straight through a gate or onto a bus or train or ferry or light rail with your contactless payment card, which is a really significant time saving for people to be able to just keep moving, not interrupt whatever YouTube video they were currently watching on their phone. alone.
Wow, what an example. Really goosebumps. This innovation really helps humans and also for the technology enthusiasts. It is such a clever innovation and technology. And I think you just said you won an award for that, right?
Yeah.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Thank you.
And moving to the next question, Sherrie, as an agile transformation specialist, how has adoption of agile methodologies improved the efficiency and responsiveness of transport for New South Wales?
Yeah, so agile ways of working is a really powerful way of increasing visibility of the work that everyone is doing in the team. And it doesn't just have to be for software development teams, which is what it was originally, agile ways of working was originally started for. I don't have a software development team. I've talked to you that I have a cyber team and an enterprise architecture team and governance teams, and we use agile ways of working to make all of the work really visible. If I wanted to, and I'll admit I don't because I don't have the time, but I could drill down into every single person in my team and know specifically what they're working on today because of the visibility that agile ways of working give you. So there's real transparency there, and it also really allows collaboration in the way that it works. And so come together to agree on what are the outcomes that you want to have for your period of work, and that might be a 3-month period of work. So what are the epics or what are the outcomes that you're looking to achieve for that period? And then you work backwards from that to design what are all the tasks that need to be done. It means that you've got a really good single line of sight on exactly what you want to achieve. It also means that there's better predictability on what you're going to achieve at the end of that time period as well. You don't have to guess, will I have enough time to do this? Will it work? Because you plan to your capacity as well. But I also want to talk about agile, agility, and agile with a capital, because agile is a framework. And so there's lots of information out there on the web around how to do agile. But agile can also just be about mindset. It can also be just about doing things a little bit differently, being a bit more innovative in the way that you work, really when you have proper true collaboration and want to be outcomes focused. My thinking also is that it really can engage your team because they're much more empowered to make the decisions locally where the work's being done because they collectively come together at many points during their period. We have what we call ceremonies, which outline the way that you work. And it just means that everybody knows what the work is, they know who's working on that work, and it can align up to your bigger strategy, which is really important to make sure that you're working on the right things at the right time.
Beautiful. Sherrie, it's really thought-provoking ideas. When I listen to you, I made few notes. Agile ways of working, it's really linked to productivity, local decision-making, etc. We are not doing micromanagement, isn't it?
No, absolutely not. We don't need to. Actually, the meeting day before I started with you talking today was actually what we call a hub sync. So my group is called a hub. That's what we've named it. And I have all of the product owners who are the leads of each of those teams and their scrum masters. They come and it's usually about a 15 to 20 minute meeting. That's all. And I have 6 teams. Each of those teams talk to me about how far they're progressing to their objective and the outcomes of our work for this period. So very quickly I can see, oh, hang on, why is that slow? Or why isn't that working? Or, yep, that's good. Yep, that's great. And I do that on a weekly basis. So I have really good visibility of the work. So there's no surprises. When they do bring an issue or a risk to me, we can deal with it straight away. We don't wait until it's finished or it escalates even higher. Just means we can be much more iterative and much faster in our approach to delivery.
Beautiful. Agreed. Completely agree with that. Now, Sherrie, my next question is, I think it's a similar type about regions. Transportation is vital for a region's economic development. How does your role contribute to a broader economic goals of New South Wales, and what strategies have you employed to achieve this?
So transport has outcomes that we're looking to achieve to better everybody within New South Wales. And these are around connecting our customers' whole lives. And I've talked a lot actually about how important the customer is in the way that we deliver our services. We also have an outcome around successful places for communities, transport systems and solutions enabling economic activity, and then thriving people doing meaningful work. So these are the 4 big outcomes that we're looking to achieve. And we also have other priority areas about integrated public transport system with a real focus on local and manufacturing jobs, city shaping and precinct making, and respecting and re-engaging our workforce, and then restoring the reliability and increasing our patronage. Now, all of these outcomes and priorities, we then make sure that the technologies that we're delivering are in line with that. So we're much more strategic in working through where do we want to put our investment versus maybe where is there already investment and we don't need to. It's really about making sure we've got the bare bones right, that our operations work in the most effective way as possible. And then what else do we need to build upon that to continue to make sure that we're meeting the expectations of our customers and our passengers?
Beautiful. All your answers are so nice. So what I see is you are very, very customer focused and productivity, and you always looking for meaningful work. Great answers. Sherrie, the next one. What have been the most significant advancements in the transportation strategies during your tenure at Transport for New South Wales, and how do they benefit the public?
Well, I think that I've been around for a little while, so there's been a lot of really good work in that period of time. I think a really big difference has been the future transport strategy, which is that sort of guiding light for transport that really provides that North Star on the outcomes that we want to achieve. And it focuses on things like making sure that there's more choices for our customers and passengers, that we have better access to those services as well, that we're environmentally responsible because, of course, transport is a contributor, and we need to make sure that we reduce our emissions as much as possible, that we have thriving places, that we don't just think about transport in a location, but we think about how it interacts with that whole environment, that we maximise use of the network. So we think about things more holistic, and we have much more resilient communities, so that we set ourselves up, we do better planning to make sure that those communities have longevity. I've talked a lot about the customer-centric approach, about solving real problems, listening to feedback, using journey maps, things like that, to really make sure that we're doing the things that matter at the right time. And there's also been a really big focus on our regions and the transport that we can provide to people in our regions. We know that it is different being in the city to being in the regions, and that we do need to give them some priority in terms of the specific actions and tasks needed in that space. And I talked before about the focus on placemaking, which is one that I really like, that, we don't just do transport, but we think about how that transport interacts with the whole area that we're changing. And of course, we're being smarter about that as well. So how can technology provide us with better ways of communicating and having people navigate those spaces as well? That's probably enough.
Yeah. Sherrie, you are doing right things without doubt, and Transport for New South Wales is glad to have an executive director like you. You really picked a point called emissions, which is aptly required at this current time, and people talk a lot about sustainability as well. So sustainability is growing concern in transportation, as you know. How is Transport for New South Wales addressing environmental challenges and working towards a more sustainable transportation ecosystem?
Yeah, so Transport, of course, has a sustainability plan. We take it seriously because we have a great responsibility. So we need to have really clear and focused strategic directions in this space. And we've got a vision that every journey is people and planet positive. So on the climate change, we've got targets that we will be net zero by 2050, and also that our operations and fleet will be net zero by 2035. And we're doing that through zero emission buses, ferries, and our electric vehicle plans. But sustainability absolutely has to be about environmental sustainability, but there's also biodiversity sustainability. And there's a lot of programs that we do about making sure that we're also protecting the wider environment, like things like protecting koalas and how we might handle crossings in regional areas to make sure that our wildlife can safely cross. And a lot of work happening in the bushfire space as well to make sure that we can protect vital roads that obviously people need to get in and out of places as well, but also monitor and analyse what's going on out in the regions. And then, of course, there's financial sustainability as well. Running a transport network obviously isn't always easy to do. So it's about how we make sure that we invest in the right things at the right time. And that's over the whole life cycle of any product and service, not just getting it into delivery and then worrying about that later.
Beautiful. I really pray that we get all those things which you just said 20, 2035, 2050, complete net zero. Amazing. Sherrie, next question. In your vast experience, what have been the most exciting and impactful developments in the transportation sector, and what can we expect in the future?
Well, I think there's been a lot, actually. The Northwest Metro, City and Southeast Light Rail, there's been obviously major transport changes, which have really been life-changing for a lot of people in terms of accessing where they need to go. Also, the change in walking and cycling. I think that that's been really significant over the last while as well. Connected autonomous vehicles and the early work that we're doing in this space about, where we might need to be for the future. Electric vehicles, of course, for our sustainability targets and zero emissions. And of course, the provision of information. I talked earlier just about how we are much better now at providing information, and we're working really hard to make sure that we can continue to do that. As for the future, well, the Western Sydney Airport, that's obviously going to be a bit of a game changer in terms of how we move around. And of course, there's major work going on around local transport about getting in and out of that airport as well. And there is more metro coming as well. Also, a focus on freight and the regions to make sure that, freight is really big business, and we need to make sure that that's considered in when we're thinking about placemaking as well. And then there's work, of course, in the Opal space, which you talked about before. There is big and new exciting work coming to make sure that we make that experience of using the public transport network even better for our Opal customers.
Wow, there's lots coming in the future.
Lots coming.
Yeah. In short, if you can briefly describe what lessons other regions or organizations can take away from Transport for New South Wales strategies.
Yeah, I think we can learn from each other. One of the things I do love doing is talking to other transport organisations about where they're at and what they're doing with their strategies and plans. You can always learn. And I know that they can learn from us as well, because we work really hard to make sure that we're doing the right thing for our communities. I think that it's about the benefit of partnerships, the benefit of research, trials, testing. We've talked a lot about that today, but about building community as well. I think that that's really important, that, in terms of the bigger remit that transport provides, and also that customer-centric approach. There is no point delivering services if you don't think that people are going to use it, or people need it or want it. And that's really where we want to get to.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. I think we spoke a lot about Transport for New South Wales and strategies, etc. I want to ask one personal question. As a finalist for the Telstra New South Wales Businesswoman of the Year Award in 2020. Congratulations. What advice do you have for aspiring women leaders in the transportation and technology industries?
Thank you. I think leadership is really different from management, and you need to be quite conscious of that. So I guess I would say decide what you want to do and who you want to be as a leader or as a manager, whatever that might be. Determine your values and work hard to demonstrate those values in the work that you do with others. It's not good enough just to say them. You have to be able to demonstrate that. I think learn from others. Every person you cross has something to teach you, and it could be the good or the bad. Sometimes you might learn what not to do from somebody, but take that as a learning. Listen. I think listening is one of the greatest unacknowledged assets that people can have. And honestly, have a little fun along the way. People are much more likely to be engaged with you if you do enjoy the work that you're doing. I have 3 values which I like to put into my work, and that's kindness, integrity, and loyalty. And I think that knowing that, defining that for yourself, and then putting that into your work will reap many, many benefits for you in years to come.
Wow, what a great piece of advice. Really, I love it. Even I am a great advocate for listening. Great advice. You covered for the entire humankind, not just for women. Thank you. Thank you for your time, Sherrie. It was amazing talking to you on this podcast.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it.
I believe everyone listening to this podcast has got something to take away from today's discussion. If you like this podcast, please listen, follow, and share this podcast within your network. If you believe we should be sharing your story or someone within your network, there is a railway leader who should be here sharing his or her contribution to this industry, contact me on railwaytransportationsystems@gmail.com. Thank you for your time today. See you next fortnight. Until then, stay safe and take care of yourself.